live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, around the world on myjoyonline.com and all our social media platforms. This is Joy News Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. In the headlines, this dog meat, palm wine and baby food recorded inflation rate above 70% as inflation moves back to 42.2%. Also, tonight, majority MPs on the Mines and Energy Committee says the take-or-pay power purchasing agreement signed by the Electoral Mahama administration is tantamount to causing financial loss to the state. And for the first time, Ghana will be implementing a joint close season with neighboring Côte d'Ivoire as a measure to help build the country's depleting fish stocks. Majority in Parliament says the NDC government has caused financial loss to the state with its signing of some power purchasing agreement. Now, World Bank Country Director Pierre-Frank Laporte stirred controversy when he attributed the country's debt situation to some of those contracts, prompting a fiery response from the NDC, who accused him of engaging in local partisan politics. But addressing journalists, Chairman of the Mines and Energy Committee, Samuel Atacha, accused the Mahama government of causing financial loss to the state.
On the issue of idle capacity, which, please, you understand it so well, idle capacity, you have it, you don't want to use it. Between 2017 and 2020, the annual cost of idle capacity ranged between 105.4 million and 373.7 million per year. Look at that. A number of hospitals would have built if you have this kind of money. Over the period, a total of about 368 million have been paid for idle capacities, and a further 600 million have been paid for the cost of reserve margins, totaling United States dollars 968 million. That's why I could submit, without apology to anybody, that this take or pay tantamount to causing financial loss to the state.
Samuel Atacha says the take or pay PPA contract are so oppressive to the Ghanaian state, they could be struck down by a court.
So oppressive and unreasonable that a court of law will set it aside. And that is what the law is. You should bear that in mind, that the contract is so skewed that it has a pernicious effect on the underdog. And in this case, our back was to the wall because we were trying to run away from Buso. So that's what. But you can sign a contract that you have advantages. But if in relative terms, that means you do a proper balance, it is not cruel to the other party. Whether you use the electricity or not, pay for it. That is where the unconscionability will arrive. Between the space of 2011 and 2016, they had 43 of them, the PPAs. The rest of them that they felt that they should negotiate some of this matter, they were doing it. I do not have the full sense of why we didn't have a wholesale, termination of the entire, PPAs, and the implications for the energy mix of Ghana. So probably strategically, some of them they could do away with, and strategically they couldn't do away with some of them. They need to negotiate even the invoicing, the rest of it.
Now, when the minority addressed these matters, they accused government of extending some of these contracts. There's a response from Atacha.
We should state that there is no third PPA for Asogli. Neither has the car power PPA has been extended to a regular PPA of 20 to 25 years. Negotiations for these PPAs are still underway. Ladies and gentlemen, I hold a humble view, maybe because of my training as a lawyer. We should always, make good inquiries about issues before we put our views in the public domain. Because when we want to source for facts, as if you like, Ignorant as I am in the energy sector, I decided to fish for facts. Then you can speak to it, but it is sad sometimes we talk without facts or we ignore the facts because of the spin you want to put on issues. So there is a huge financial overhang because of take or pay. The take or pay is an inherited trouble. No dispute about it. It is not the making of President Kufuor, and it's kept the lights on.
After 4 months of continuous slumping, inflation surges slightly from 41.2% in April to 42.2% in May 2023. Now, although the baseline still remains below 50%, items such as dog meat, palm wine, smoked herrings, baby food, among others, recorded rate above 70%. You can hear from government statistician Professor Kwabena Enim as he announced rate for May 2023.
Protection 53.4% and food and non-alcoholic beverages 51.8%. All four divisions recorded rate of inflation higher than the national rate of inflation. On a month-on-month basis, keeping in mind that the national month-on-month rate of inflation was 4.8 for the month of May 2023, we again identified 5 divisions that recorded rates of inflation higher than the national average. This was led by personal care, social protection, and miscellaneous items that recorded the highest divisional month-on-month inflation of 7.0%. We turn away from the levels of inflation and from the 13 divisions point of view, identify the divisions that are contributing the most to the rate of inflation that was recorded for the month of May 2023. Across the 13 divisions, top 3 items, namely food and non-alcoholic beverages, housing, water, electricity and gas, and transport, almost contributed 3/4 to the overall inflation, with food and non-alcoholic beverages contributing more than 50% to the rate of inflation that was recorded in May 2023. Specifically, food and non-alcoholic beverages contributed 52.4% to the overall inflation recorded in the month of May 2023. This was distantly followed by housing, water, electricity and gas that contributed 13.1%, and closely followed by transport contributing 9.2% to the overall inflation that was recorded in the month of May 2023. The division that contributed the lowest to inflation in May 2023 was insurance and financial services that contributed 0.1 to the overall inflation for May 2023. We turn to the food inflation, given its dominance in terms of its contribution to the overall inflation. It will be recalled that food inflation contributes, the weight of food inflation is 43.7% to the overall rate of inflation. So we look at the trends in the levels of rate of inflation and the share of food inflation to the overall inflation. Since January 2022, it peaked in January 2023 with a rate of inflation of 61.0%. This is more than 3 times the rate of food inflation which was recorded in January 2022.
The Upper East region and speak with our correspondent Albert Sorry on the rising cost of dog meat there. Albert, grateful for joining us here. Now, we know the Upper East region has one of the biggest dog meat market across the country. Do we have a fair idea of background factors influencing such a high inflation rate?
Okay, so it's also in the Upper West region as well. But just to explain it to you, the issue of dog meat, it's not everybody who consumes it. There are just a group of a few people who do it. It's not like everybody in the Upper East region. So it's not like you have dog meat everywhere like you would have pork or goat meat or other meats around. So that already creates a situation of scarcity because the number of people who consume it are very few, and the people who also sell the meat are not many. Now, with the increase in prices of things over the last 1 or 2 years, it obviously also translates into an increase in the price of dog, just like you have with other items or other types of meat as well. So I recall last year in Sandema, for instance, we were reporting, that people who consume dog meat were complaining that the price had gone up. The situation has not changed. Basically, it's because when people go into the market and they purchase items to come and prepare in terms of even the fuel, the charcoal or gas, etc., that naturally will translate into a cost of the meat. So, all these things, considering also the fact that the meat already is a scarce commodity, has translated the inflation that we are.
But if it's a scarce commodity, why are the prices rising there?
Yeah, so just as I explained, it's the same with the price of everything else, because people who sell dog meat normally don't even get the dogs to buy, because it is not like any kind of meat that you go and purchase. Now, so if you go to the markets and you struggle to even find the raw material, in this case, which is dog, and then you bring it, naturally you would have to increase the price, because you don't know when the next time would be when you get the meat to come and sell. So that all translates.
So basic kind of economics there. The when supply is in, when demand exceeds supply, prices rises. So that's the situation in there.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Grateful to you, Albert, for joining us here. Now to other stories. 3 weeks after the conflict between Gonjas and Mamprosis in Lukula in northeast Gonja district of the Savannah region, which led to the death of one person and the burning of several houses and properties, residents have begun to return to the community. The one-time busy town is now very silent, with people grouped under trees, minding their business. Businesses such as selling and buying, as well as tailoring, have all been brought to a halt. The people appeal to government to intervene to bring lasting peace to the area. Joy News' Savannah region correspondent Isaac Noya was in the community and has come through with this report. Residents of the Lukula community have returned after fleeing a conflict there 3 weeks ago. The community looks broken. Groups of people are seen gathered under trees in the community discussing their fate. Farmers in this community say despite the fact that they have invested more in their farms, they cannot go for fear of being attacked and have thus left the farms at the mercy of grazing cattle. Madam Nachina Sarah is one of the residents here.
Look at some of them, they are sewing machines. Those who struggle and go to Cairo to get money to come and also learn something, so that they will also be self-independent. Everything, the stores, and the women, look at the children. Even up to now that we are standing, it's not all the children and the women that are here. We don't know where some of them, they are whereabouts. And those who have even returned, yesterday it was like a funeral endeavor. Everybody, they were just crying.
She says the conflict has had negative impact on the members of the Lukula community.
Because their clothing, bowls, what and what, everything is condemned. They don't have anything. Even they share they share fruit that they pick. This is the season. Even everything burned into ashes. Nothing. Their foodstuffs, ingredients, everything, nothing. They don't have anything again. Because when they just came and it was just like a surprise to them. So when they were running and everywhere shooting boom boom, you are even trying to escape and save your life. How can you even have time with these children? How can you run with these children?
Another resident, Abdul Rahman Yakubu, says many of the victims were still living in the bushes without water and food. We are farmers here, but they have burnt everything belonging to us. Our houses, our cutlasses, our women's pots, which they use to fetch water. We want to appeal to the government, stakeholders, and chiefs to come to our aid. With the little that we were able to farm this season, the cattle have destroyed everything. We have lost everything. The dresses we are wearing now are what we were left with. Shaibu Isahaku is an opinion leader of the Lukula community. He blames the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, for failing to visit the community since the conflict broke out.
NADMO has never been here before, even when it happened in 2019. Something ever happened in 2019. No NADMO officer came here to sympathize us.
Madam Nachna Sarah appealed to the government to speed up the demarcation of the boundary between the two traditional areas to bring lasting peace.
So, on the behalf of the women, what I want to tell the government is that they should come to our aid and help us. And the most important thing is our distance, the demarcation of the land. Because this thing is not the first time that it has happened. So even if all this help has come without the demarcation, if they give us help, one day they'll come and spoil it again. They'll come and destroy everything again. This time that we are even lucky that it's only our father, our clam head that we lost. No? We don't know what will happen next time. So we are begging and pleading to the government, to the local government and the chiefs. They should all come to our aid so that the demarcation will take place and everybody will have the...
They can only hope for the better. For Joy News, Isaac Monya's report, right to you.
Now we're joined via Zoom by Dr. Victor Doke, lecturer at the Faculty of Academic Affairs and Research at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. Doc, grateful that you could join us here. Now, as the members are returned, how do we ensure that there is no further attack in the community?
Well, thank you very much, Badula. I think what should happen now is the stakeholders involved. When I say stakeholders, I mean the National Peace Council. I heard one gentleman mention NADMO can be one. We have the elders in the community. Now, the National Peace Council has a lot to do with regards to implementing preventive measures so as to ensure that the recurrence of violent attacks does not happen again. However, with regards to local NGOs there, now we all agree they have been sort of like exhausted financially and capacity-wise because of these prolonged conflicts in those areas. So no local NGO wants to push funds to implement either humanitarian activities or whatever. So now the onus lies on the NPC and other stakeholders to come together and then ensure that preventive mechanism, the only way out is now to ensure preventive mechanism, direct ones, of course. Then now you can look at the structural ones and find viable employment opportunity for those youth who have returned back. Because then if not, then you are looking at these youths ganging up again, and it will be easy for them to join in the armed conflicts or clashes, just like that. So to avoid all these things, we need to have preventive measures in place. Now let's look at how we can employ the early warning systems to detect early what is about to happen, so that responses, appropriate responses, can now be implemented, not wait till it happens before the stakeholders goes in, and then we employ them later to keep the two sides at bay. Holistically, now I think it will be a bit challenging for the boundary commissions to do whatever they want to do in terms of demarcation or whatever. I don't think they will succeed in that. Otherwise, you're looking at other areas also akin to this kind of area, and then you have a serious problem on your hands with regards to chieftaincy conflicts in particular. So for now, I'll propose that they should employ preventive mechanisms and then issue early warning system in place to identify whenever there's going to be a clash. Then now you can come to the mediation table. The chiefs, the people, the elders should all come together.
Would you propose that some military or police people are stationed there now that peace is returning to the community?
I didn't hear you.
I was asking whether it would be feasible for us to send military or police personnel there now that peace has finally returned to the community.
Well, when you talk about peace, it's, in regards to that, now it's debatable.
Okay.
Which level of peace are you looking at? There are forms of peace. The fact that there's no armed clashes doesn't necessarily mean that there's positive peace there. When you look at peace, you're talking about employment, right? Sustainable employment for the community. Yes, the clashes have stopped, but does it mean it may not happen again?
Okay.
So to avoid that, then you're looking at issue the preventive measures. Yes, one of the ways is to, sending the military and the police, but for how long? They are not trained or given the necessary capacity with regards to conflict resolution. So they go there temporarily, they stay there. Now what happens? The stakeholders involved have a lot of work to do with regards to employing mediations and negotiations and whatnot. So that is what is lacking now.
So
as it stands now,
I'm listening.
It seems the whole processes, we've now become very comfortable with employing the military, stop the two sides from clashing. Now, sustained engagement with regards to having two sides together to mediate is not ongoing. So the issue still lingers. And then you have the same problem repeating itself. So where are we going? And how do we achieve resolution with regards to this chieftaincy conflicts that have posed a very big challenge on the country?
Now, if you listen to the resident, they sought to say that the major reason why this rages on is the boundary issue. So as the fighting has stopped, and you said that it will be difficult for the boundary commission to conduct that work and to ensure that there's proper demarcation. What must be done in the interim to ensure that then, as we all appreciate the challenges, we don't go ahead to fight?
Get the regional House of Chiefs, the National House of Chiefs, the reps there. Now, we should have a dedicated office. What I say dedicated office means that one particular or a group of particular experts who will deal with these existing chieftaincy conflicts that are there now. Now, get the data. Those have been recurring, those have not, to ensure that those that are not recurring, that not recur. Then now, when you have these dedicated experts there, there will be sustained engagement. That is what we are lacking now. Get these experts, get them trained, capacity building on conflict resolution issues. That is also lacking. Most of the times, those who go on the field to do mediation or negotiation don't have the necessary skill or knowledge about chieftaincy conflicts, the genesis of it. That will be the first step. Then now you can look at how the boundary commission can come in. As I said, it will be very challenging because if they are able to do anything, then you can now be sure that other areas similar to what is happening now would also want to be free, sort of.
Okay. Grateful to you, Dr. Doke, for joining us here. Now, to other stories. The minority in Parliament say the anthrax disease is an epidemic in waiting and must attract the full attention of government. At least one person has been confirmed dead from the scores of people who have contracted the disease. Speaking to journalists, NDC MP for Nabdam and member of the Health Committee, Dr. Mark Ket Nawene, criticized government for the seeming lack of attention and the failure to release funds to fight the outbreak.
This outbreak is about the whole region. It is about where the meat supply of this country. I'll say that about 40 to 50% of the supply of animals to the slaughtering houses in Accra, Kumasi, etc., are coming from that end. And so we should not take it for granted. If in the north, yes, the animals are dying, when we don't take time and we get these animals to the southern sector, where when they come in, they are just slaughtered and eaten. It means that we will have a lot of human cases when it gets to the southern sector. What is happening is that even though the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Food and Agriculture through their veterinary services and the local government ministry have come in and they've put in some measures, it appears that they are not putting in enough resources to curtail this outbreak. You know, to curtail the outbreak, we need to vaccinate the animals. We need to fumigate their stalls, their pens, or wherever these animals are living. We need to do it. We need to prevent the movement of animals from one end to the other. All these measures have to be done, and it requires resources. As I am speaking now, in the Tennessee district, the district assembly itself has spent about 16,000 Ghana cedis to purchase 8,000 doses of the vaccine to vaccinate the animals. But what do we see? This is not enough. We know the common fund is not coming. I have to say that we don't have to take this thing for granted. When it gets to the animal to human transmission, and a lot of human beings get it, and we start transferring it from one person to the other, then we are in very, very bad business. It's a very serious situation, and we shouldn't let it get to that stage.
The MP himself, a medical doctor, has an advice for his kinsmen, asking them to stop certain cultural practices which aid in the spread of the disease even faster.
To take this opportunity to advise my brothers and sisters from Upper East. The funeral season have just ended, and I'm sure this is why about 3 people have died from this anthrax. During our funerals, we usually, as part of our custom, we kill animals to see our beloved ones out or buried. And after killing these animals, we don't eat it immediately. We leave it to be lying outside. We leave it, sometimes it is hanged on a tree to be shared among families. Sometimes it can take 8 hours. Sometimes it can even take up to 24 hours before this meat is shared. And I believe that this practice should be stopped. We should first and foremost try to kill the animals under hygienic conditions. Secondly, we should share it immediately after killing them. And it should be under very, very hygienic conditions that we should carry out this activity. Yes, it is our custom. We do it every day, depending upon the status of the man in society. You could get even up to 10 or 15 animals killed. Cows, sheep, goats, etc. killed. But we should make sure that when we do that, we should immediately share it and eat it, or boil and eat it. And this practice where some people eat raw meat should stop. Considering the impending epidemic that we have, it should stop.
You're also watching Joy News Prime, still to come here. For the first time, Ghana will be implementing a joint close season with neighboring Cote d'Ivoire as a measure to help build the country's depleting fish stocks. Welcome back from the break. Now, for the first time, Ghana will be implementing a joint closed season with neighboring Cote d'Ivoire as a measure to help build the country's depleting fish stocks. Now, 3 other countries, Togo, Benin, and Liberia, are expected to join Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire to implement the next closed season. That, according to the Fisheries and Aquaculture Development Minister, Mavis Howard-Koomson. Speaking at the Meet the Press series, the minister says government will stop at nothing to sanitize the fishing space through a rigorous enforcement regime and the provision of alternative livelihoods for the fishers.
The scientific working groups have recommended that the closed season should be implemented between the months of July and September, which coincides with the spawning period of the fish stocks. This ensures that the fish spawns at least once in its lifetime before caught by the fishers.
Fisheries and Aquaculture Development Minister Mavis Howard-Koomson announcing this year's closed season.
Canoe and inshore fishers will observe the closed season from the 1st of July to 31st of July 2023. Industrial trawlers will also observe the closed season from 1st July to 31st of August 2023. The tuna fleets also observe their closed season 3 months in every year.
She says as a way of maximizing the effects of the closed season, neighboring countries have agreed for a joint closed season.
I am also happy to inform you that following consultations, Cote d'Ivoire will implement their 2023 closed season within the same period as Ghana. This will reduce the likelihood of fishers from Ghana migrating to fish in a neighboring country. Next year, we expect Togo, Benin, and Liberia to join.
Mavis Howard-Koomson says there are several interventions that have been put in place to battle illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing practices in the country's territorial sea and exclusive economic zone.
About IUU, I've mentioned here that we are putting in so many measures to make sure that the illegal activities stop. One is the gear directives given to the trawlers. Another one is the trawl days. You are not supposed to fish more than 30 days.
As part of measures to mitigate the impact on the fishers, the ministry is supporting them with relief items as it did in previous years when the closed season was observed.
The ministry, during the 2022 closed season, distributed 20,000 bags of rice and 8,333 cartons of oil to support fishers and the fish processors during the closure. I must also mention that the fishers were supported with 6,000 bundles of wire mesh, 20,000 basins, 1,710 chest freezers, and 1,150 subsidized outboard motors. As a way of reducing pressure on the fisheries resources, the ministry and its partners, including the Ghana Fisheries Recovery Activity, has launched the alternative livelihood training support for fishers, starting with 550 fishers in masonry, carpentry, dressmaking, hairdressing, electronics, and auto engineering, etc. in selected communities along the coast. This training will be scaled up to over 8,000 fishers, and after the training, trainers will be supported to set up to ensure that they can earn incomes from their trade.
Richard Kwejenyako, Joy News, Accra.
Now, in a battle that mirrored their previous encounter, Winneba SHS emerged triumphant, once again defeating Infantiman SHS in a gripping contest. It was a case of deja vu as Winneba SHS showcased their intellectual prowess and strategic thinking. outperforming their opponent in the display of knowledge and wit. Infantiman, determined to exact revenge for their previous loss, fought valiantly but fell short in their quest to secure a spot in the Nationals. Winneba SHS proved their dominance once more, solidifying their position as a formidable force in the NSMQ. Michael Ashale was there for us and our reports.
It is a sad day for Infantiman girls. Their dry spell continues and Winneba SHS has made that possible. They managed to beat the girls for the second time in 5 years. Well, for Infantiman girls, since 2017, they have wished to go to the finals, even the nationals, but they haven't gotten that opportunity. But the ones that have made that possible, those that are qualifying, now beating them for the second time, is Winneba SHS here. And this is the winning school, the school that has beaten them yet again. So these are the students from that school, and they have beaten Infantiman girls.
Sing the glory, sing the praise of your alma mater, you sons and daughters of winning side, students of the town of Sacred Year. We work and play a banner race, defend the name with a fear. The glory of the mother school, all the alumni are proud to share. We bless to serve you always, the mother is so rich. In the daddy case, to an aspect of our training here. We pray that in our school days, we will play a worship here. Our school motto, we will want follow. This girl with labor proper child. 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 This girl with labor proper child.
So these are the victors, beating Infantiman girls for the very second time. What are you saying? This girl what? What are you saying?
This girl with laborious proper child.
What does it mean?
Yes, we are learning to serve our motherland. Them they said say yes to education. Whilst we are serving our motherland, they are now coming to say yes to education. Oh, we are learning to serve our motherland. This is the real goal. This is the real goal. Winneba, number one. Yes.
This is the second time you are beating them in 2019. I'm sure that you met them.
When they meet us, they will never qualify. Whenever they meet us, they will never qualify.
Yes. Even going to win the national.
Yes. Meet us, regional champions.
Tell them we are coming.
We are coming.
Tell them we are coming.
Yes. You have Infantipim at the saddle. You have Preseg.
We've beaten them in a trial contest. We've beaten them in our trials. Oh, at the saddle. Oh, order. We beat all them.
Whatever. Oh,
everybody.
They are all back.
There's Prempeh College. There's Preseg.
No worry. We are the real good.
Yes.
We are the real good.
Right, so definitely their victory is giving them some morale, but the contestants that have made this possible for their school are also here, and their coordinator is also not far away. He told us before the contest that they were going to beat Infantiman girls, but this gentleman, this gallant man, have given their school this victory. Gentlemen, how does he feel?
It feels... It's not bad.
It's normal to beat one of the top girls' school in the central region. It's not normal.
We expected something higher than this.
So this is not hard enough for you?
Not at all.
Wow, interesting. What about you? I mean, how does it feel? Because in the first 3 rounds, you would agree that it was very tight. I mean, as at the end of the 3rd round, you were just leading about 8 points or 7 points. Yeah.
It feels good to win this contest and then qualify to the nationals and to the regional championship. It's a nice feeling, that's all.
You've had some of your students, I mean, your win has got it into their head. They say that they've beaten the likes of Adisadel, Agri Memory and the likes in a trial contest. So moving forward, it's no big deal for them. But as contestants, you are the ones going to be on stage. Do you have the same feeling?
Yes.
You're going to beat them? I see. Let him talk to the coordinator. He told me he was going to beat them, and he's delivered that. In 2019, when you met them, I mean, when you heard that you're going to meet them again, what was going through your head at the time?
It is always a challenge, you know, because normally on stage you don't know what happened. So, of course, we prepared our boys as well as we could. And then, thanks be to God, they have delivered for us. So, we are very excited about that.
What strategy should we expect from you? Or what are you going to change from your strategy in the next contest? You have the nationals to go to, and then you have the regional championship.
Sure. You know, every contest comes with a strategy that you prepare for. So as at now, you know, not knowing the kind of schools you are going to meet, we can't tell you how you are going to plan for that. But trust us that when it comes to the business, we are going to deliver.
I see. So that's the coordinator. If it comes to the business, they will deliver. Let's see how far that delivery means in itself in a few days from now. But today, they are victors, beating one of the best girls' schools in the central region, that is Infanteman Girls. For Joy News, Michael Ashali.
Well, time for us to bring you Showbiz. And Becky Beggs is in the house. Becky Beggs, you're in the spirit, huh?
Spirit. Because the first person I'm about to talk about, Joe Metal, it reminded me of the song, Yes, Mia, I think that's a low key, relax. Yes, Mia.
Okay.
Oh
yes, oh yes.
New Year.
Oh yes, oh yes.
We're very excited because Ghanaian gospel musician Joe Metal is back with the 2023 edition of his annual concert dubbed Praise Reloaded. So this worship experience gets even better as he partners Joy Entertainment. Good choice, Ghana's most credible entertainment news hub. The event, which usually tours a number of cities in the country, has had the Kumasi edition on June 11, 2023 at the CCC in Eyija. It featured Ife Grace, Kwekute, Pastor Bernard Chumasi, Prosper Ochimana, Nseku PK, PSCA Esther, among others. On June 25, all roads will lead to the Oil Dome for the Accra edition. And Brace, you'll be going with me.
Yeah.
So gospel musicians such as Bethel Revival Choir, Dunsin Oyikan, Sisi Chum, and Edwin Datson will minister at the event. And so you guys have to be there. Last year was the 10th anniversary of the concert, which was held in Koforidua, Kumasi, Takrady, and Accra. So hopefully you'll be hearing songs like, you know, Yes, Somyamea, Yoba, Atayobami,
So my voice man van to
because we need some
vovo
if we want to continue. But let's talk about Stonebwoy because his Livingston Foundation has commissioned 4 mechanized boreholes in 4 communities in the Shama district. Yes, the first stop was at Tiamoa, the Bimposo, in Dobwasi Junction, and Boko Awuku Kofe. So those are visuals from there.
See, in hen assembly members, hen brother Alpha Ozenyin, or sure to command Stonebwoy, then insure her hen. Yet hen prayer, Nina wide and Galamse, Asen. Because you might have to buy water. Sure. Because these are the natural sources that we all stream from and treat and use as a unit. I will just beg say the corporate social responsibilities of all these multinational companies will be sought to. If a small person like me, in quote, can provide these communities with water supply, what is the duty? What are these people doing to touch humanity like on the ground? You know, this is the little I can do from the bottom of my heart. I tell you guys, I'm not that kind of guy who would hold 5 CD and be throwing. Sometimes I do because of prayer, because that's how they understand.
Stonebwoy right there. You know that Earlier this month, he was on PM Express
Yes,
talking to Evans Mensah exclusively, and he did mention what his Livingston Foundation has been doing for the communities in Shama.
Shama.
Yeah,
This is indeed great.
Yeah, 4 boreholes. This is a big deal. Congratulations to you, Stoneboy. And we're urging everybody.
Dabwase, okay, so Dabwase.
Yeah, so it's 4 communities.
So they started from Beposu Junction, went to Dabwase Junction,
right.
and continued to Shama. I think I saw is like an island community. In the Shama area. It's such a great thing.
So we're urging everybody else, if you have the platform, just go ahead and
impact
communities. That's the word. But we have updating your playlist today. Which song are we updating our playlist with today? It's called Hope. We're having an exclusive interview with that particular face, hopefully on the channel.
Okay. So, all right. Because I am not permitted to say anything, I won't say anything. I do comment so that you know. Oh, I know, but I won't say anything. But remember to brush your teeth before you go to bed this evening. And tomorrow morning when you wake up, with either Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, Pepsodent Charcoal, Pepsodent Herbal, or Pepsodent Triple Protection, because with Pepsodent, every smile matters. And that's how we wrap up today's bulletin. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. Thanks for your company. Up next is Prime Business with Beverly Broom.